Hello, everybody. In today's lesson, lesson 4.4, multiply using expanded form. In this lesson, our essential question is, how can you use expanded form and place value to multiply a decimal and a whole number? And we're on page 179 of the 5th grade Go Math textbook. So we practiced this skill in 3rd and 4th grade, where we would use a model and we would break up the numbers using a square. Okay, so we're going to use that same idea here. But let's look at the unlock the problem first. The length of a day is the amount of time it takes a planet to make a complete rotation on its axis. On Jupiter, there are 9 and 8/10 Earth hours in a day. How many Earth hours are there in 46 days on Jupiter? So 9 and 8/10 hours in a day, and wants us to know to figure out 46 days. So how many Earth hours? So one way is to use partial products and a model. So we're going to multiply 46 times 9 and 8/10. So on the left-hand side, these are our kind of like, in a sense, think about the problem. We're going to model the problem, and then we're going to record our answers. Okay. All right, so number one, step one, rewrite the factors in expanded form and label the model. So what is 46? Well, 46 is 40 plus 6. Okay, we're familiar with that. It's just expanded form. 9 and 8/10. Well, 9, and then we have the decimal portion, which we would just say is 8/10 or 0.8. Okay, so then we're going to label the model. It really doesn't matter which way you go, but I'm going to put 9, they're going to put a 9 up here and the 8/10. And then along the left-hand side, they're going to do 40 and 6. Okay, now multiply to find the area of each section. The area of each section represents a partial product over here. So 40 times 9 is this first square. Well, 9 times nothing is 0, and 9 times 4 is 36. So remember, this is like saying 9 times 4 tens. 9 times 4 tens is 36 tens. 36 tens is the same as 360. So if we were multiplying using partial products, we could say 9 times 40, and that would give us 360. Then we can go 40 times 8/10. 40 times 8/10. Well, that's 32/10, right? 4 times 8 is 32, so 40 times 8/10 is 320/10, or 32. I think I said 32/10. 8 times 40 is 320/10. Let me write that. 40 times 8/10. That would be 320/10, or 32. Right? There's 10/10 in a one whole. So 320 divided by 10 would be 32. All right, so 40 times 8/10 is 32. Now we're going to move to the 6 of 46. 6 times 9 is 54. And then our actual problem, we go 6 times 9, 54. And then we're going to go 6 times 8/10. 6 times 8/10. 6 times 8/10 is 48/10, or 4.8. And then we're going to add the partial products. So we have 8/10 We have 4, 4, and 2 is 10. We have 6 and 3 is 9, plus the regrouped is 10, and 5 more is 15, and 3 and 1 is 400. So 450 and 8 tenths. If you wanted to find the number of Earth hours in 125 days on Jupiter, how would the model change? Well, right now this is 46, right? So how would we represent 125? Well, we'd have to have 100, 20, and 5. Okay, so the number of rows would have to increase. From 2 rows to 3. And the labels would change. Okay. So that's how the model would change. All right, page 180. All right, another way we can do this is we can use place value patterns. Very similar to what we did in our last lesson, okay? Where we thought of 58 and 6 tenths as a whole number. Well, how can we think of 58 and 6 tenths as a whole number? Because in our head, we'd be multiplying it by 10. And so if I multiply 58 and 6 tenths by 10, it becomes 586. Or we move the decimal place one place to the right for every multiple of 10. All right. And so our answer or our product would also be multiplied by 10. And here's just the regular math. We know how to multiply by a 2-digit number, right? 4 times 6 is 24. We regroup. 8 times 4 times 8 tens is 32 tens, plus 4 more is 34. We'd regroup that. And 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 more is 23. We would then multiply 586 by 10. So we know that our partial product in this row has to be a 0, end in a 0, and it would just be 1 times 586. Add that up, we'd get 8,204. But we're not multiplying by 586. We're only multiplying by 58 and 6 tenths. So in a sense, we would multiply 586 by 1 tenth to return it back to its original form. And we know our product would be 8204, but we're taking a whole number and multiplying by a number in the tenths. So our answer would be 820 and 4 tenths. So the decimal product is 1/10, or as the decimal, of the whole product. So there are 820 and 4 tenths days. All right, number 2. So what if you rewrite the problem as 10 plus 4 times 58 and 6 tenths and use the distributive property to solve? Explain how this is similar to your model using place value. Well, okay, when we multiply 58 and 6 tenths by 4, and then by 10, we're going to get the partial products. right, number 3, or try this. Use a model for 52 times 35 hundredths. So let's draw our model. Okay, and we have 52. So what is 52? 52 equals 50 plus 2. Okay, so I'm going to put 50 and I'll put 2 there. 35 hundredths is 3 tenths or 30 hundredths plus 5 hundredths. So I'm just going to use 3 tenths and 5 hundredths. So multiply to find the partial products. 50 times 3 tenths. 50 times 3 tenths is 150 tenths, or 15. 10 tenths in every whole number. 150 divided by 10 would be 15. Okay. 50 times 5 hundredths would be 250 hundredths, where there's 100 hundredths in one whole. So this would be 2 and a half. Now 2 times 3 tenths equals 6 tenths. All right, well, 6 tenths, we just write that as 0.6. And then 2 times 5 hundredths is 10 hundredths. How do we write 10 hundredths? Just like that, right? All right, so then we would add up our partial products. 15 plus 2 and 5 tenths plus 6 tenths plus 10 hundredths. Remember to line up the place values. All right, so 0, 6 and 5 is 11, plus 1 more is 12. Regroup that as 1 and 2 tenths. Place the decimal point, and 5 and 2 ones is 7, plus 1 more is 8 ones, and 1 tenth plus nothing is 1. So we get 18 and 20 hundredths, or 18 and 2 tenths. All right, how about using place value patterns? So we have 9 and 18 hundredths times 16. So we're thinking that we're multiplying each of these we're multiplying the decimal, 9 and 18 hundredths, by 100 to make it 918. So 918 times 16. So we're going to start with the ones, right? 6 times 918. 6 times 8 is 48. Regroup that as 4 tens and 8 ones. 6 times 1 10 is just 6 tens, plus the 4 regroup tens is 10 tens. 10 tens is 100 and 0 tens. 6 times 900 would be 5400, plus 1 more is 55. Okay, we would now move to the tens, and 918 times 10 is 9,180. 1 times 8, 1 times 1, and 1 times 9. Okay, so now we would add this up. We get 8 ones, 8 tens, 6 hundreds, and 14 thousands. All right, so our original problem was the whole number times hundredths. So that means our answer has to be in the hundredths. So 146 and 88 hundredths. At 181. All right, so draw a model to find the product for numbers 1 and 2. So we have 19 broken up into expanded form 10 plus 9, and 75 hundredths as 7 tenths plus 5 hundredths. 10 times 7 tenths. That's 70 tenths. Well, 10 tenths in every one whole, so 70 divided by 10 is 7. Okay. And then 10 times 5 hundredths. 10 times 5 hundredths is 50 hundredths. And how do we write 50 hundredths? 0.50. Okay, 9 times 7 tenths is 63 tenths, or 6.3. Okay. And 9 times 5 hundredths is 45 hundredths. Okay. And then we're just going to add up our partial products. So we have 7 plus 6.3 plus 50 hundredths plus 45 hundredths. 5 hundredths plus no hundredths is 5 hundredths. 5 tenths plus 4 tenths is 9 tenths, plus 3 more is 12 twelfths. We'll regroup that as one whole and 2 tenths. Place our decimal point. 6 and 1 is 7, 7 and 7 is 14. So 14 and 25 hundredths. Okay. So what is 27 in expanded form? 27 equals 20 plus 7, and 8 and 3 tenths equals 8 plus 3 tenths. So draw a model. And we're going to write 20 and 7. And across the top, we'll write 8 and 3 tenths. So 20 times 8 is 160. 20 times 3 tenths is 60 tenths, or 6.0. 20 times 3 tenths equals 60 tenths, or 6.0. 8 times 7 is 56, and 7 times 3 tenths is 21 tenths, or 2.1. Okay. And add up your partial products. So we have 160 plus 56 plus 6 plus 2.1. So 0.1, 6 and 6 is 12, plus 2 more is 14. 5 and 1 is 6, 6 and 6 is 12. So 224 and 1/10. So that's how we're using partial products in a model. Okay, we can also use place value and patterns. So 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 8 is 64, plus 5 more is 69. We then start multiplying by 10, so 87 times 10 would be 870. 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 8 is 8. Add those up. 6, 9 and 7 is 16, regroup. 8 and 1 is 9, 9 and 6 is 15. Well, so in our head, or basically we're thinking of this as 87 times 18, and that would be 1,566. But we're actually multiplying a whole number by a number in the tenths. So 156 and 6 tenths. Number 4, 56 and 1/10 times 23. So let's think of this as 561 times 23. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 6 is 18. Regrouped. 5 times 3 is 15. Plus the regrouped is 16. And that's not a very good 3, sorry. All right. We're moving to the tens now. So 561 times 20. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. Regroup that. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 more is 11. Okay, add those up. 3 and nothing, 3. 8 and 2 is 10. Regroup. 6 and 1 is 7, plus 2 more is 9. 1 and 1 is 2. 1 is nothing. So 561 times 23, we'd have 12,903. But I'm not multiplying by 561, I'm multiplying by 56 and 1/10. So my product has to be in the tenths. Number 5. 5 and 92 hundredths times 47. So we're going to treat this as 592, because in a sense we can multiply by 100, right? Means our product will be multiplied by 100 as well. So 7 times 2 is 14. 9 times 7 is 63, plus 1 more is 64. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 6 more is 41. We're moving to the tens, and 592 times 40. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 6 is 36. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 more, 23. Add that together, we're going to get 4 ones, 12 tens, 8 hundreds, 7 thousands, and 2 10,000s. All right. But we didn't multiply by 592. We multiplied by 5 and 92 hundredths. So our product has to be in the hundredths. Tens, tenths, hundredths. So 278.24. Okay, number 6. 8 and 3/10 times 71. Okay, now remember, we can use any of the strategies that will make sense to us in this. So this time I'm going to go ahead and split it up and go 70 times 1. And 8 and 3/10. Well, 8 times 70, or 8 times 7 tenths, is 560. 70 times 3/10 is 210 tenths, or 21. 8 times 1 is 1. 8 times 1 is 8. And 1 times 3/10 is 3/10. Add up your partial products. 560 plus 21 plus 8 plus 3/10. 8 and 1 is 9 ones. 6 and 2 tens is 8. And 5 times nothing is 500. So 589.3. Number 7, 28 times 19 hundredths. We could also use expanded form in this one. 28, you write as 20 plus 8. And 19 hundredths, we can write as 1/10 and 9 hundredths. So what's 20 times 1/10? 20 times 1/10 equals 20 tenths, or 2. 20 times 9 hundredths. 20 times 9 hundredths is 180 hundredths. 180 hundredths is 1.8. 8 times 1/10 is 8 tenths. And 8 times 9 hundredths is 72 hundredths. So add all those partial products up. 2 plus 1.8 plus 8 tenths plus 72 hundredths. Well, 2 plus 0 hundredths is 2 hundredths. 8 and 8 is 16, plus 7 more is 23 tenths. 2 wholes plus 2 more is 4, plus 1 more is 5. So 5 and 32 hundredths. So could I have multiplied this just using place value and patterns? Yeah. You could have just multiplied 28 times 19 and then made sure your answer was in the hundredths. Okay. Whichever one of the strategies makes most sense to you. If it doesn't tell you to use a specific strategy, use whatever makes sense to you. Okay, number 8. A jacket costs $40 at the store. Max pays only 7/10 of the price because his father works at the store. Evan has a coupon for $10 off. Explain who will pay less for the jacket. All right, well, $40 times 7/10 of the price. That'll tell me how much Max pays. Evan has $10 off. Well, that one's fairly simple, right? So Evan is $30. What is Max? Max has to pay, well, 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 4 is 28. We're multiplying by a whole number and a number in the tenths, so 28. Who will pay less? Max. $28 is less than 30. All right, number 9. An orchard sells apples in 3.5-pound bags. The orchard sells 45 bags of apples each day. How many pounds of apples does the orchard sell in 1 week? All right, so what do we know here? We know that that's what we have to find. Pounds of apples in 1 week. Well, the apples are sold in 3.5-pound bags. They sell 45 bags per day. But it says in 1 week. So that's 7 days, right? So let's figure out how much they make, how much they sell in pounds per day, and then multiply by 7, right? So 45 times 3.5. Well, 45, that's close to 50. So that's about 150 pounds per day. So let's see what we get. 25. Regroup that as 2 and 5. 5 and 4 is 20, plus 2 more is 22. We're moving to the tens in this example. or in our thought process, 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. So we're taking a whole number and multiplying by a number in the tenths. Okay, so we said it would be about 150 pounds per day. So that's reasonable. So 157 and a half pounds per day for 7 days because it sells in a week. So 7 times 5, 35. 7 times 7 is 49, plus the 3 regrouped is 52. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 5 more is 40. And 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 more is 11. We're multiplying a whole number 7 by a number in the tenths. So our answer has to be in the tenth, or our product has to be in the tenth. So 1,102 and 5/10 pounds of apples per week. Let's look at 182. All right, number 10. While researching facts on planet Earth, Kate learned that a true Earth day is about 23 and 93 hundredth hours long. How many hours are in 2 weeks on Earth? Okay. What are we being asked to find? The question, right? How many hours are in 2 weeks on Earth? What information do we need to solve this? Well, she told us that each Earth day is 23 and 93 hundredth hours long. And we need to find out for 2 weeks, right? So what do we know about 2 weeks? We know 2 weeks equals 14 days. So what's our expression? Well, it's going to be 14 groups of 23 and 93 hundredths. So now let's go ahead and solve this. I think I'm going to use place value and patterns. So 4 times 3, 12, regroup. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 1 more is 37, regroup. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 more is 15, regroup. 4 times 2 is 8, plus the regrouped 9. All right. We're moving over to the tens. And 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 9 is 9, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 2 is 2. And we're going to add these 2, 10, 15, 13, 3. All right, but we're taking a whole number and multiplying by a number in the hundredths. So 335 and 2 hundredths. So on Earth, there are about 23 and 93 hundredth hours in a day, 7 days in 1 week, 14 days in 2 weeks. 14 times 23 and 93 hundredths equaled 335 and 200th hours. That's how many hours there are in 2 weeks. All right, number 11. Write each number in a box next to the expression that has the same value. A number may be used more than once. So we have a product of 7 and 68 hundredths, a product of 76 and 8 tenths, and a product of 768. Now we can use what we know about patterns and place value to write these answers. You don't have to multiply 48 times 16. They're telling you what 48 times 16 is. 48 times 16 is 768. How do I know that 48 times 16 is a whole number? Because there aren't any decimal points. So it has to be a whole number answer. So that has to go there. Then we're taking this whole number and multiplying by a number in the tenths. So which one of these two is an answer in the tenths place? 76.8. This time we're taking the whole number 16 and multiplying by 48 hundredths. Again, the digits are the same. It's just the decimal points are different. So this answer has to be in the hundredths. So 7 and 68 hundredths. Whole number times a number in the tenths. So 76.8. 48 times 16 hundredths. The answer has to be in the hundredths. 7 and 68 hundredths. Okay. So that's place value and adding or using expanded form and multiplying. In our next lesson, we'll work on problem solving using money, multiplying money amounts. So until then, I will see you soon.